this weekend, the first of the martial artist Bonfim brothers, kind of like Toronto's McNamara brothers in the 80s. The Bonfims are ready to get going, and this is Marreta, Ismael Bonfim. He has a boxing background, as does his brother, and he gets a great opportunity coming off of Dana White's Contender Series to take on Terrance McKinney. And for T.Wrecks, he's already 2-1 in the UFC. Knocked out Matt Frevola, was the hotness last year. He got finished by Drew Dober, who's now ranked in the lightweight division. And wild fight. And for McKinney, his last time out against Ghost Pepper, Eric Gonzalez, he goes out there and gets a knockout win. Get touched up a little bit before that, but oh boy, did he ever drop him and finish him with the ground and pound. McKinney's been one of those guys, a fan favorite since even before his time in the UFC. You knew him from Dana White's Contender Series when he took on the sniper, Sean Woodson. And in that fight, McKinney looked amazing. And he was getting back up off the mat, took his time, had his head down, and ate a flying knee and got finished.
Did he ever?
And he had to build himself back up. He got finished on the regional scene again, and then the wins started coming for McKinney. And obviously, we know that his life story was crazy. We know that he wrestled at the JUCO and NCAA level as well. But that's that part of his game that not a lot of people talk about. I think it could really help him in a fight like this, but it really is a battle of Bonfim, his great boxing, and Terrance McKinney with his power and his wrestling in a fight like this.
I agree 100%. We talked about this a lot. We brought up Punahele Soriano last weekend, and I know it didn't work out great for him, but he's one of these fighters who, hey, has incredible power, has a wrestling background that might not be spoken about as much as it should, but I remember us talking about this a lot before McKinney fought Eric Ghost Pepper Gonzalez. It was, hey, McKinney might take him down. Like, if he's ever going to do it, Gonzalez is a pretty good striker on the outside. This might be the fight to use your wrestling. And it was nice to see McKinney finally show that wrinkle of his game. We know him for his great power, but it is nice to see just the other skill sets that he does possess. But the thing about McKinney is, and you bring it up, just based off his level of competition, it's all over the place. Like, yes, the Drew Dober fight was very competitive. I know it's a first-round finish loss for McKinney, but still, he had Dober hurt and in a lot of trouble, and then Dober was able to just dig really deep and come back like Drew Dober always does. But there's a big difference between Drew Dober, Gonzalez, and I'd say Frevola's in the middle, but even with him, it's kind of hard to tell just where he is at this stage of his career. That's why I think this fight, I know we were kind of hard on Lacerda earlier on in this fight card, fighting Cody Stamann, and a lot of people might look at this as kind of similar to that, you know, a guy making his debut against a much more proven commodity, but for McKinney, he does leave wide open openings when he goes for his big power shots. And yes, it's great to watch. Like, his boxing combinations when he can land them, when he's going to the body, going to the head, landing those long extension straights, they're devastating. But the issue is, and we have seen it a few times now, he leaves himself open on the extension. It's the recoil that I think he does struggle with quite a bit. So when guys can slip his punches from the outside and close that distance, again, McKinney, we talk about this a lot now. It's kind of a curse and a positive to have good reach. Good reach isn't a positive or a negative. It's just a stat, and it's up to you on how to use it. Guys who can get on the inside of McKinney can have a little bit of success with their dirty boxing, clinching up a little bit, and that can be a way where Bonfim can have success. If he can dodge some of those longer range jabs, you know what was a crazy fight that I thought of leading up to this fight? When the Korean Zombie fought Renato Moicano throws a jab, Korean Zombie slips to the outside and immediately counters with an overhand.
And that's how Ismael Bonfim fights.
And that's my whole thing. If Terrance McKinney does get lazy with some of his longer range strikes, Bonfim's the type of guy who can really make him pay for it.
And if you do consider it for McKinney, all of his wins are by finish, 8 of them by submission. And he does have those wins over Faraziem where he kind of catches him on a kick, gets him down, and then he finishes him. And against Eric Gonzalez, he was a minus 850 favorite, was McKinney. So level competition's all over the place. But again, he does have wild hands, keeps them very low when he is trying to defend. And again, his left cross is really one of his special shots. But when you look at it for Ismael Bonfim, just like his brother Gabriel, he has a record in boxing. 24-3 as an amateur, 4-1 as a pro. But one of the guys that he beat, like that was from 2016 to 2018, was 29-1. So it wasn't the greatest level competition in boxing, but a record to have nonetheless. And from Ismael, as good as he is with his striking, he's very well-rounded. And I think Gabriel might be the better of the Bonfim brothers, even though Ismael has some losses. It is against better competition. But for Ismael, what he can do so well is counter and bait you into a lot of those shots, back up, and he does move his head quite well. And then again, his left hook is one of his best shots, and he looks to land it quite a bit. Now, again, could he get caught with the lean back and he gets hit by a big McKinney shot? I bet, and I'm sure we're going to hear that from you in the comments section.
And that's why we talk about the lean back being a bad defensive move. Like, good defensive strikers slip, they don't lean.
He reminds me a lot, though, of his teammate from Serrato MMA, in a guy like Vicente Luque, kind of waiting, baiting, keeping his hands up, and then looking to counter-strike on that recoil. Again, a thing that I do like out of of him is he can also throw his left hand, not just as a traditional hook, but as a bit of a shovel hook in some of his fights, just a different angle that you have to look for. And for McKinney, when he's landing his right, and there's a lot of extension or even that left cross, leaves himself susceptible to getting hit. But again, the power is so good, the wrestling's so good. The only thing that I have for Ismael Bonfim that might not be the greatest, it depends on how much he does move his head on that outside. But when I go back and I look through all of his fights, he did just beat the AMC Fight Nights Global champ on Dana White's Contender Series in Nariman Abasov. And obviously, again, just great at everything. And he's also really good at jiu-jitsu from the bottom position. But you worry about that in a fight against McKinney, where if McKinney gets a takedown, then you're playing bottom. And top control in MMA, depending on who the judge is in the last little bit.
99% of the time, top control is going to
exactly, how it's going to be scored. So if you look at the odds in this one, McKinney is a slight favorite. We have a look at the Topology votes, Matt. Surprised us they are to you. And Terrance McKinney's a big-time fan favorite, and I think the fans are going to go with him. I'm going to say over under 70% McKinney.
I'll say over.
It's over. So right there, 924 total Topology votes, 78% McKinney, 76% by knockout for the 22% that have Bonfim, 55% by decision, 29% by knockout. So not a surprise that a lot of people have McKinney here.
No, it isn't. But I will be honest. I look at this as more of like a 60-40, if not 55-45. I do think this is a really close matchup. And like you said, the style of striking that Ismael Bonfim can use from the outside is probably going to give Terrance McKinney issues if McKinney isn't an accurate striker. Because that's the thing. If McKinney's landing all of his shots, well, none of that fancy boxing is really going to matter. He's the longer fighter. He does use his reach quite well. But again, if Bonfim can slip some of those shots, respond to his own big ones, the only thing I don't love about this fight is, let's say Bonfim drops Terrance McKinney. When Drew Dober had him hurt, he could follow him to the mat and be strong enough to hold him down and rely enough on his wrestling to be confident enough with that part of his game. Not that I don't think Bonfim is a good grappler, it's just, if Bonfim even drops him, it's probably one of those cases of just like, get up and I'm going to do it again. So for those reasons and with the X factor of McKinney's wrestling, I will ever so slightly pick him, but I think this is a prospect who has justified this type of a matchup making his UFC debut. I'm really excited for the Bonfim brothers to see what their potential could be.
Yeah, just like that Run the Jewels song. I mean, picture this. Ismael Bonfim could have been in the UFC in 2014. Like, I'm dead serious. He fought for a Jungle Fights title against Renato Moicano. Moicano wins by finish. That was Bonfim's last loss 12 fights ago. And Moicano got into the UFC off of that win.
He's pretty good, guys.
Like, that is kind of wild. I like Bonfim in the matchup based on the counter-striking, the volume that he can throw from the outside. McKinney, he's one of my favorite fighters to watch, and I'll put that out there, MMA media member, whatever. But, like, when you watch McKinney fights, they're exciting as hell.
Oh, yeah.
And I love the skills that he has. I feel like stylistically in this fight, with Bonfim, with the volume, with the boxing, I think he can just counter-strike his way into a win in this fight. So we're split on the pick. People are definitely going to call me crazy on this one. I have Ismael Bonfim.
For sure.
You have Terrance McKinney in the fight. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. Let us know, please, down below in the comment section who you have in this fight. Gabriel Bonfim's on this card as well. You're not going to want to miss. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, we always say.
Let's get into it.